Hey guys, my name's Philip. I'm the worship director at Christ Fellowship downtown and also the multi-site worship pastor at CF. Since we're not able to do rehearsals this week because of the storm, just wanted to walk quickly through what we're going to be doing this weekend at all of our campuses. We're going to be doing the same set, going through Lord's Supper together. So I just want to take a couple minutes to make sure you have what you need, talk through some of the arrangements, the structure. I'll go through some of the details, the vision of the set, the details of the first song especially, and then I'll just do a quick playthrough, probably up through Risen, since we've done Risen a couple times, so just play through the first two songs and talk through some of those details. So really quickly, the idea for the set this week is that we've found that sometimes Lord's Supper can just be a thing that feels like it's kind of been stuck or tacked right into the middle of our set, and so this week we really wanted to take some time to just really reflect on the Lord's Supper and have it be one big experience where we're praying for forgiveness and repenting of sin, and also celebrating what Jesus has done, not only through taking of the elements, but also through singing together. And so what the set will look like is we're going to start with that arrangement of Seas of Crimson by Shane and Shane. It'll be a little more low-key, a little more chill. There's some really cool details in there, some chord differences that I think will make it really fresh. A lot of cool parts in there. We'll go through Seas of Crimson. Basically, the day will start with a 1-minute timer for your CP. They'll set the day up. When that timer gets to 0, we'll fire a click and go through Seas of Crimson. After Seas of Crimson, we'll go into the first 2 verses of Wonderful Cross. And after those 2 verses, the CP will come back up, or your host will come back up, and he'll have 5 minutes to actually lead the Lord's Supper moment, where we'll take the elements together. And then after that moment, we'll go back into verse 2 and then to the chorus of Wonderful Cross. The first part of Wonderful Cross we'll keep more down. We won't do that dotted eighth feel that's in the Night of Worship version throughout the whole thing, because we don't want to have to drop it off when the CP comes up, and we also don't want to hold it the whole time, the whole 5 minutes while the CP is talking. So we'll start pretty low. CP will come up and lead, and then as he's transitioning out, we'll bring in that dotted eighth and go back to verse 2 and then into the chorus. After Wonderful Cross, we'll swell out. The CPs will come back up for about 30 seconds, basically just to bring the vibe up. We want people to know that even though Lord's Supper is something that's very personal, very reverent, very intimate, sometimes we can end it more somber. And so this week we just want people to understand that this is also something that we celebrate. And so rather than end down, we're going to end big, we're going to end up. It's celebratory with Risen. And so after we swell out of Wonderful Cross, there will be a quick 30-second transition, and we'll bring in that the chug of Risen underneath a couple times, twice through, and then we'll go right to the chorus through the straight arrangement. So like I said, I'm going to talk through a couple details, and then I'll do a quick playthrough. I'll start with Seas of Crimson. Again, we're going to do that Shane and Shane version. Worship leaders, make sure that you use the Shane and Shane arrangement on Planning Center, because there are some resource tracks there. The song is in 3/4, not in 6/8. The resource tracks for some reason have a 6/8 count in. I'm not sure why, but the song is in 3/4, so don't let that fool you. The song starts out pretty simple, pretty basic. This is an easy song to move the camera down so you can see what I'm playing. This is an easy song to fill, to overplay in, and so guitars, you're starting with just that simple strum on that progression. That's 6, 4, 1. That G sharp minor to the E to the B. And same thing with keys. Keys are nice and open. Again, this is an easy song to fill, to play more in the right hand, or to arpeggiate chords, or to start the pulse too early. Make sure that verse 1 and that intro are super open. When it goes to verse 1, keys stay open, but the guitar goes to the pluck. So the guitars will go from the strum to that pluck. At the interlude, we'll bring the band back in. So the band is in the intro. Bass, make sure you know that you're actually holding a B underneath the whole time. It might be like a cello or something, but while the guitars and the keys are playing that progression, the bass is actually holding a 1, the octave up, the B, the octave up the whole time. It's pretty cool. Again, small detail, but makes a big difference. Go into verse 1, low, bring in the guitar pluck, and then at the interlude, you'll bring the band back in on the progression. One thing to note about that interlude is that it's only one time, and there's still a pause before the verse. So coming out of the verse, for all that's lost, oh, interlude, and pause, 2, and on that cross, Calvary. So make sure that even though you come in, dum, 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 2, and on that cross. So everybody is kind of released there, and then light kick, toms in verse 2, keep the pluck. The piano goes to like a simple pull, so that's where the swells come in. Going into the chorus, because it's easy to miss this because we've done the Bethel version so many times, but it actually holds one extra bar going into the chorus. So coming out of that verse, let me pull the chart up. You drown our sins in the seas of crimson. Extra bar, 1, 2, hallelujah, death is me. So just watch that there, because normally we go right into it. So make sure you wait for that cue. Go into the chorus. We'll bring it down at the chorus, and then there's a super cool like acoustic riff in there. It's based on the D shape, and it has just this little like kind of walk up. And then last time I think it goes up. So it has that triplet feel. Boom, boom, boom. But it's a really cool part. Check that out. If you have 2 acoustics and you can pull that off. If you're the only acoustic and you're leading it, maybe ask your keys player, one of your keys players, to play that part. Or maybe even electric guitar, just kind of soft behind. It's a super cool part that really adds a lot. And then the keys actually start adding a little bit of right hand there too. There's a little riff that the keys play. So check those 2 things out. The chorus goes low, but those 2 parts come in and really fill it out. At the interlude, the next interlude is twice instead of once. Same chords, that G sharp minor to E to 1. And then you'll bring in snare there with the drums. What you'll notice about the snare in this song, all the way basically up until the end, is that the snares are actually flipped off. So drummers, make sure that you at least try that. I'm not sure how it's going to sound live, but you do have the crack of the snare kind of in the loop underneath you. So give it a shot playing it just with the open. It has that kind of like beautiful exchange snare sound. So flip the snares off and then add that to it. It'll sound more like a high tom than it will a snare, but it keeps the vibe down. Going into verse 3, just note the inversions there. The acoustic goes to, the second acoustic actually goes to a straight chug. So if you're only using one acoustic player, you'll go to the chug there. And then again, like I said, watch the inversions. Whereas the other verses have been B to E, back to B. This one has B, and then it walks down to the E, and then to the F sharp. So so you get this, and then you get both, and then both of these. And then at all of darkness, you go to B over D sharp. And then on the tag, the second time you're going to play the C sharp minor to the 2. So watch for that C sharp minor there. Make sure you don't play that G sharp minor twice. Everybody will shift that second time we sing My Solid Rock to the C sharp minor. Coming out of the, it's a little bigger there, going into that chorus. Start driving the groove a little bit more. You'll bring in cymbals, like cymbal hits with the toms. And then you hit out on the word praise going into the bridge. All to you, the highest praise. And it's just an empty bar. And then it goes into the to the bridge on the G sharp minor. All to you, the highest praise. Bridge, 2, 3, and where there was. First bridge is super low, keys only, very open with a little bit of electric in the back. And then the second half of that acoustic pluck comes back in. And then on bridge 2, band comes back in. You're building second half. Toms are kind of building with cymbals. There's also another little acoustic riff and strum in there if you want to check it out on that second bridge that comes in. When you get to the interlude, stay really strong. There's like a little interlude tag in there where he echoes, "Yours is the power." It just goes back to that other progression. Yours is the power, G sharp, E, B, doom, da da, doom, doom, da da. So you're keeping that that syncopated tom feel, and then bass and the rest of the band. You're kind of following on that groove. Start to drive it a little more. And then you'll release at the first half of the chorus. There's a little acoustic piano riffs, they come back in, and then you'll pause on the word grave, and then build back in the second half. So hallelujah, it's low, death is beaten, Christ has rose from the grave, and then back in, hallelujah. To the highest, and then we'll go in big. I put in these notes. I'm going to post some notes for you. It goes big, but still remember the feel kind of the day. We want to keep everything a little bit lower, but maybe you're putting the snares back on there, tighten the snares back up so you get the crack during that part with the hit, but you'll take it up a little bigger there. To go into the tag, we're going to end on the minor, so you'll see that on there. All to you, the highest praise. All to you, the highest praise. To the 1. So the first time it goes to the 6, the G sharp minor, and then it repeats. All to you, the highest praise. And then from there, you'll end on that B major, and then it goes back to verse 2, like the regular version does. On that cross of Calvary, where every burden has been defeated, every wretched heart redeemed. And then you're going to repeat this line also twice. You drown our sins in seas of crimson. And then you'll repeat that last line. Drown our sins in seas of crimson. So make sure that that last part, you really bring it down. There's a low piano ending, and that pulses really only the last time, and then it ends with that low piano. So really just note some of those chord changes, check out the inversions, know acoustic, know where you come in with the riff, where you come in with the chug. Drums, super important for you to know the feel, where you're adding the snare, where you're adding the cymbals, where you're laying low, because all that stuff will help to drive the song without making it too big. So feel free to try some different things with the snare there. Especially loosening it, tightening it back up, and then take it big at the end. Just make sure that it doesn't go too strong at the end. So when we end Seas of Crimson, we'll go into Wonderful Cross. Basically, all that's going to happen during the first part of Wonderful Cross is you're holding the pad the whole time. So it's literally just on a B. Actually no pluck or anything. It's just a pad. We won't bring in that dotted eighth right away. It should be really nothing else but vocals and pads for first verse. Verse 2, I would say you could start to bring in the swells, like some guitar swells, that lead line that's in there. However you want to play it, if you want to add to it. But it should really just be a little bit of light guitar on verse 2, maybe that lead line. You'll notice that the bass comes in with kind of like a triplet pulse. If that's the feel, it comes in with this kind of like boom, 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 dun, dun, dun. It's kind of a standard, the accents that we would do if we were building, but it's only the bass and it's on that low B. So you get kind of the pulse of it to drive it forward, but you don't have the tom or the kick or anything behind it really punching it. So it's really cool, dynamic to bring that in without it overpowering. As we come out of that verse 2, again, that's where the CP comes up. And then as your CP is ending, you can bring in that. Obviously, I don't have any delay on this, but you can bring in that the dotted eighth guitar underneath. So then when we go back to that final verse, you'll have that kind of feel underneath with the lead on top. So have your rhythm guitar player, or even your lead if you only have one electric this week, come in with that dotted eighth, and then your other guitar player is still freed up to do the lead line, and that'll kind of help pulse the song along. When we go into the chorus, it's really simple. It's basically just 3 chords, 2 chords at first. It's the E to the B over D sharp. And then it goes to that F sharp. So really simple. Once we get to that chorus, we'll start to bring in the band. We'll bring in, or bigger band, I guess. We'll swell in. We'll start adding some toms. But again, not too big. We don't want to come in with big snare hits and build it up, just because for time, we don't have time to really take it there. So be okay with it being open. Let the vocals, again, the harmonies really speak for, let the lyrics speak for themselves. And just enjoy people being able to sing congregationally. At the end of that, we'll swell out on that last 5, the F sharp. We'll swell out on the B, the 1, and then your or it might feel better to end on the E. It's up to you, up to your worship leader, your band, and then we'll come in with that chug of Risen. So again, your CP will be the one who's, bringing that vibe up. So don't worry about that transition. Bring it out, let it fade, and then it's going to transition up the 4th to E. So that's the details of the song, guys. Really, the main thing is to listen, to really catch those details of Seas of Crimson. Know where the cuts are, the breaks. Dynamically know your parts. Everything's posted for you on Planning Center. So it should be relatively easy. I'm going to do one more video with the run-through. I guess I'll post them separately. That way you have both. You don't have to flip through. But yeah, that's it. All right.